Hello and welcome to Our Time. What's happening in the movies? Well, in the movie business, that is. Will everybody go back to the cinema after COVID? And what are the movie theatres doing to entice you back? A very special guest is Deanna Wallis from Wallis Cinemas here in South Australia, who have claws everywhere.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you because you're third generation?
Fourth generation.
You fourth?
I am.
Goodness.
I know.
Isn't that amazing? How did Wallis Cinemas start? Because it's a very strong brand name here in South Australia.
Thank you. It was founded by my late great-grandfather, Huey Mackenzie Wallis. So he started as a refrigeration mechanic and engineer. So he started making fridges and washing machines, and we still actually have one of his fridges left at our HQ and here in SA. And
how wonderful.
His hobby was film. So he started showing films at the local RSL halls, and from there his passion grew, and he bought land in West Beach and opened the first drive-in, the Highline Drive-In.
I certainly went there when I was young.
And my late grandfather worked there, and together they built the business.
Isn't that incredible? You know, I suppose there were movie men in those early years who travelled around Australia also showing films, and it really came out of an interest initially. So, do you know what year that would have been that he started?
He started in the RSL halls about 1950, and the Highline Drive-In opened in 1954.
So it was fairly quick.
Yeah. There was only about 4 years then his passion boomed, and then it was the first drive-in here in South Australia, and it massively took off. And back in those days, got 800 cars each night. Gosh, wish we could have had that in the last couple of years. But
that would have been good.
It was booming back then.
And I remember going there. I remember seeing the James Bond films there.
Yes, they were huge.
By putting the speaker inside your car, and you had to remember not to drive off before. Yes. You must have lost a lot of speakers over the years.
We did. Back in the day, we used to get lots of complaints. Obviously, this was well before my time, but we used to get lots of phone calls the next days or on that night, and we had to start up lots of cars with car batteries going flat. But yeah, the old girl, it was a very difficult and painful decision for us.
I wonder how many children were named after the drive-in.
I don't want to know.
When you think about it. Well, we won't go there.
I don't want to know.
But whilst it was the last one in the metro area, where is the last one?
So there is another one that wasn't run by us, but there is another one out in Cooper Pedy. So that is the last South Australian drive-in now. Is
it a shame, do you think, that they've been lost?
It does break our hearts. Obviously, it's been in my family for over 60 years. So it was very painful to have to make that decision. We didn't want to.
No.
And there has been a lot of public backlash for doing so. And what people don't understand is how massively impacted the film industry was by COVID.
Oh, of course.
We had films being pulled. We had films going to streaming services. We were shut down multiple times, or we had restrictions on capacities.
Yes.
We had over 200 employees to think about, and JobKeeper. And that was such big expenses. And at the end of the day, we had to make a decision to best protect the majority of our staff.
Well, and also to keep the whole cinema business running.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had the same problem because I've got a live theatre and we couldn't play either.
No.
And our staff were all off, but not just the staff, all the performers.
Exactly.
So no one was earning any money. And whilst JobKeeper was handy and helped us through that time, there's just so many people just frustrated by... But this is what, you know, this is a worldwide pandemic and we're still alive, so what have we got to complain about?
Exactly.
At the end of the day. So we all have to make, change things, we all have to make adjustments in what we do, and obviously you've had to do the same.
Absolutely.
So how does it all happen? Because this is something I don't think people understand. How do you get the films in the first place?
So we are the exhibitor.
Yep.
So we go out, to example, to Mr. Disney, and our programming department will talk with Disney, and Disney will say, you can have this film, you can have it at these locations, and you have to have it showing this many times per day. So for example, with a new film coming out, it might be 3 sessions during the day, 3 sessions during the evening, and we are stuck to follow that policy.
Yes, the way that it comes.
And we have to pay a film hire.
Yep.
So when you go to the counter and you buy your tickets, so $13 or $15, up to 55% of that goes straight back to the film distributor.
Yes,
So
because of course they're now paying for the film to be made in the first place.
Yeah.
So they want to recover their money.
And then
you've got such a little percentage to pay your staff.
And we've got maintenance and overheads, electricity,
Rents.
water, we've got our rents, and then we've got our staff. So there's not much left over. And that is why cinema industry heavily relies on Candy Bar and other events that we can do, because so much does go back to the film distributor. So for the first 2 to 3 weeks, we really are dictated by their set policy, and then our programming team can negotiate based on figures over the last 3 weeks.
Once they start to get their money back.
Yes.
Which is understandable across the board, but I think as a consumer going into the cinema to see a movie and you've paid your money, you think that's going to the theatre that you're seeing it in, but it isn't.
No.
And then there's all the cleaning afterwards and maintaining the toilets and all the occupational health and safety. And
it's hard work.
It's great, because I've certainly done quite a bit with you people over the years, and your cinemas are lovely.
Thank you.
And your mum's had a lot to do with that.
Yes, so my mum has worked in the company for majority of her life. She first started working at her childhood home. She would help her grandfather, so my late great-grandfather Huey. They would bag confectionery bags on the billiard table, and she would weigh them out on the scales. And then she was allowed to eventually be in the kitchen at Academy doing dishwashing, carpet sweeping, then cleaning the tables, then serving customers. So there was quite a lot of little promotions along the way that was heavily enforced by my grandfather and great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And my nana, Lorna, married Bob, my grandfather. She married into the business, and she was working at the drive-ins back in the day, in the candy bars, and now she is the owner and the director of the company.
And doing a wonderful job keeping the family together, because that's the other thing about a business like yours. It is a family business.
Exactly.
Yeah. And whilst you're employing people outside the family, the nucleus of the family still needs to keep tight.
Right, exactly.
Do you ever argue about what you're doing?
No.
Don't answer that.
No.
For fear of incrimination.
No, definitely not. We get on all the time.
Did you want to go into the business? Did you see this as your career path?
So when I finished school, I wasn't to go straight into the business. Even when I was in school, my first job was actually at Woolworths at Mitcham. Okay. And I had to find my own path, and I got into education, and I worked at a beautiful school for 5 years, and I'm very grateful for my time and the children that I have worked with. And on and off, I was working inside the company, whether that be on the floor or be at our head office. But now I am more in the head office, and also looking at expanding the business into our new venture. We're growing and diversifying once again, so that's what I'm focusing more on now. I was born into it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the path
as your grandfather was.
Exactly. It was the path that was kind of chosen for me in a way. And, you know, it is hard being born into that and having the pressure and the weight on your shoulders of the generations before you, and trying to do what is expected of you. And the commitments and the pressures and responsibilities and expectations that come with it, and the eyes on you all the time. So now I am trying to forge my own path, just like my grandfather did.
Well, one would assume one day you'll be the managing director.
Yes, one day I'll kick Mum out the chair.
But the cinema industry has changed so much, because now it's not just about showing the movies.
No.
And it's also about multiplexes, I guess.
Absolutely. You know, back in the day it was 1 screens, then it went to 3 screens, and now you have 5, 7, or event at Marion, they have over 30 screens there, which is just insane. So
well, it is insane in a way, because clearly the way the world is going with new technology, that's also affecting the fact of going to the movies.
Absolutely. You know, the projection machines are constantly evolving. You had your classic film reels back in the day that our projectionists had to carry up the stairs. Now you've got digital, you've got Xenon, you've got 4K, you've got laser, you've got 3D, you've got 2D, you've got all these different sound systems as well. So it is a lot to keep up with.
How technical do you personally have to be, or is that easy to leave to the others?
I have known little bits. I've had our senior head projectionist show me a few bits and pieces, but I definitely leave it up to him. I don't want to touch anything and break anything and get in trouble.
Oh, I understand that. I can remember when the cinema centres were running like the same film in multiple cinemas
Yes.
because it was the newest release.
Yes.
It was the latest
With
Batman.
the film running through the projection room.
Exactly, running right through the building.
Yeah.
It was just like, how did you work that out?
How?
So it's showing on that screen now. In a few seconds' time, it'll be on that screen,
Yeah.
and then it's on that screen.
Pretty incredible projections
It
back
is,
in the
isn't
day.
it? But now it's completely different. And we'll be back to talk about why it's completely different in just a moment. Our special guest on this program is Deanna Wallis, who is actually the fourth generation of the Wallis family here in South Australia, who are cinemas exhibitors.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
You did. That's a technical term.
There you go. Oh, exhibitors. Yeah, I
Yes.
suppose it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
We borrow the product to showcase to everyone. Or we hire the product.
Well, you've got the facility to show the product,
Yes.
which is now just on a computer.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because it didn't used to be, those
No,
great big slabs of film. I remember when they used to come in on the jets and they'd be unloading those as the passengers were getting off. You'd see these great big
film
rolls.
reels, yeah.
And they were huge.
They were massive.
And they started from the middle out,
Yes,
didn't they? Not
they
from
did.
the outside,
Side.
but from the middle out.
Yeah.
As we were talking about, so they could go through a whole pile of cinemas all at the same
Once,
time.
yeah.
Amazing. But we're also talking about the cost of constantly upgrading all of the gear that you have to, like the sound system, or now it comes in a box, in a hard drive, a big hard drive, the film itself. And as you were saying before, there's 2D, 3D, there's this sound, that sound, whatever. Who pays for all that? Who pays for the upgrade of everything? You do.
Not me personally.
Out of your pocket money.
Not me personally. But we do as a business and as a family. We constantly have to reevaluate the latest sound or visual experience. And, you know, COVID has made that a bit challenging. We had plans to upgrade projection. We had plans to upgrade our sound experience or our chairs as well. But we had to reevaluate what we were going to do to ride the wave of the pandemic. But every time we have a processor for the sound machine or the speakers, you know, fails or breaks, we have to call our suppliers and try to urgently get a quick
out
replacement.
of your roughly 40% of the ticket price.
Yeah.
Well, even just the seats. Talk about the seats for a minute, because the seats are proper sort of lounge chairs.
Yes.
And they're really expensive.
They are.
And when you've got 300 or something in a cinema,
you don't want to know.
do you have to move them about? Because the ones in the middle must get worn out first.
Yeah.
Or is it the ones up the back with people sitting
But the
up
back row in the middle, that seems to be the top priority to always try and get those seats. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do occasionally have to reshuffle. Or
You don't
do
think there was a
extra
bit of
cleaning.
kissing in the back row of the movies, do you?
Yeah, look, that's why I was I lived a very sheltered childhood. I wasn't allowed to go to the drive-in. I wasn't allowed to see certain films.
Yep.
My grandfather really sheltered me in that sphere.
But isn't that a wonderful memory to have for you?
Yeah.
It's interesting when a family member starts something off and then the generations come through.
Exactly.
And you hope that your family are going to be as interested in it as you were.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, what else did you set it up for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you shuffle off this mortal coil and hopefully they're going to take...
Bob's your uncle and off you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with the same enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But your mum has been influential in a lot of things. Was she involved in some sort of sound improvement?
Yeah, so she worked alongside Scott Cricks, who is part of the Cricks Speakers, and we have a very great relationship with him in his business.
Sorry, your mother is Michelle.
Yes, Michelle Wallis, the managing director, and she, along with Scott, have developed Quake Sound, which is a really immersive...
Quake. As in
like an earthquake shatter the room.
Yep.
And it's a really immersive sound experience. So if there's a helicopter scene, you can feel it swirling around you. If there's a pin drop or a glass shatter, you will literally hear it right in front of you. It is such a unique experience, and there's honestly nothing like it. And especially when you have it with 3D films as well, it's just a whole nother level.
Well, that's a whole nother, yes. Will you ever get smell-o-vision, do you think?
Look, that would be an interesting situation, wouldn't it?
No, in Disneyland you get squirted with water when a dog lifts its leg or something.
It's true. Who knows, maybe.
Well, who knows what the future holds. Exactly. And I suppose that's just it, isn't it? It is that experience of going out, it might be a date or with some friends, and
or
having
kids.
that experience as a group
Exactly.
or as two individuals. that you really don't quite get at home. Because I guess most people watching TV will be watching like this. I'm talking to you, you're listening, and so on. But then suddenly, when you're with somebody else, you've got somebody really to share the experience
Exactly.
with.
And it's all about being in cinema. It's about escaping reality.
Yeah, sure.
Whether it be for 2 hours.
Yeah, leave
2.5
your troubles
hours.
at the door.
Well, exactly. And you're so focused in the story of the film and the narrative and the characters and what they're going through that you forget everything else that's going on in your world. And what a great therapy.
Well, it is, but there's also a community thing, and your mum has also been instrumental in setting the cinemas up with like a restaurant or somewhere if you're having a special occasion, a birthday, or groups of people in a club coming together to fundraise or whatever.
Exactly.
And obviously it is looking for different ways to bring people in. I've certainly done quite a few Melbourne Cup lunches with you guys. Yep. And, you know, it's lovely because the people coming are a little bit like family. They feel that this is their cinema.
Space. Yeah.
And their place.
They take ownership.
They do take ownership. And really, when you've got that in a business, that's what you really need.
Exactly.
Yeah, for everyone to feel at home.
It's that connection, you know, we have a lot of regulars at our cinemas, and it is so heartwarming when they build a personal relationship with our staff. So when staff can say, oh, hey, Lauren, nice to see you again today.
It's true.
Are you here to see such and such film? Like, you can guess what they're going to see.
Yeah.
You know their candy bar order.
Yeah.
You know exactly where they want to sit. It's those relationships that we build with our customers and our community.
Well, it is a community thing, I agree. And back in the old days when you were saying with your great-grandfather with the RSL halls, because they were all over the place in those days, and really that was really one of the few places that you could actually go to see a movie. There was the special sort of Saturday morning serials, like Buck Rogers in the 21st Century and all the cowboy things, the Roy Rogers films and so on. And then those sort of closed down when the cinemas became bigger and the multiplexes. Or you'd go into the city and see a movie at a big movie house that wasn't like going to a palace, a special place.
Exactly, like the Academy.
Yes, exactly. But now it is different because it's more about the comfort of sitting in a chair, about the padded walls so the sound will be more realistic, I suppose. Yeah, you're trapped in it. Where do you think it's going to go? Have you got any sort of thought?
I think, like we have seen, it's not just about going to watch a film anymore. It's about what can you do before or after the film as well.
Right.
What can you do with your families to make it a whole day out? So I think it is going to be more about what other offers or adventures we can provide.
Not mini golf, please, not mini golf.
Not mini golf, but having like a full-on entertainment complex with other offerings such as bowling or laser skirmish, or having your birthday party opportunities, or having space for children with sensory and additional needs. That is something that I am very passionate about, and am exploring how we can make it more safe for children who do have sensory needs. So I think it's going to be heading more along that way.
There is a big awareness of that now, isn't there?
Absolutely. You know, being in education myself formerly, I worked with a lot of children with autism and ADHD and anxiety, and having a family member as well who is in that sphere. I am very passionate about how we can make them feel safe and included and special.
See, that's something you would never have thought of before. That's something that, you know, the more we learn about humankind, the more we realise, I guess there's
how
so
unique
many...
and different we all are.
Yeah, but also there's so many people that probably have never had the movie experience.
Exactly. And, you know, we do have our once a month sensory sessions where we dim the lights and have the sound at a different level for those children, but I want to take that further.
Okay.
How can we make the whole experience safer for them? What other offerings can we provide for them? If they get really heightened in the middle of the film, how can we regulate them? You know?
So there are the movie makers, there are independent movie makers, and there are the major studio movie makers. What assistance do they basically give you? Because without you as presenters or exhibitors, really their films aren't going to be seen, apart from now the streaming services. But again, quite a few people have said, oh, you know, I've seen everything on Netflix, or I've seen everything on whatever other binge or whatever other platform. I think it's funny, people tend to go through sort of ebbs and flows, and being locked up at home for so long, I've got the TV and I can go and get a drink, or I can stop it. But the going out experience is really a different thing for all humans, isn't it?
you know, we get some support from the big exhibitors. We might get a little bit of a marketing budget from them.
Right.
But from your smaller independents, that isn't really the case. So we are marketing their products, but also trying to market our brand and our experience and our candy bar. Yep. And what you can do with it.
You used to be able to look up in the daily newspapers what's on in the movies,
Yes.
and not so much anymore. How important has the internet been for you?
Our social media has really been able to help us reach a new audience. We are focusing really strongly on our Instagram, you know, Instagram Reels and Instagram Stories, and that is really growing in the 20, well, even younger, like 15 to 30 to 40 age group, and we are...
That live on that.
Exactly, and we are all about families.
Can you take the phone away from when they go into the cinema,
I know,
so they're not scrolling while the movie's on?
Exactly, which is actually a big no-no, so don't do that.
Yes, don't do that.
Don't do that.
No, I was somewhere and I was watching somebody searching the names of the actors to see what other films. It was like, watch the film.
Figure it out afterwards.
Yes.
People.
Yeah, ask those things afterwards. Yeah, well, because we've become such an instant society.
Exactly.
Oh, speaking of instant, we've just got to take a break. We'll be back in an instant. Our guest in this program has been Deanna Wallis. We're just wrapping up now to talk about really where is the industry, do you think, going in the future? Now that things have been released or relaxed, and hopefully...
For the most part.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll stay at something like 100%, and hopefully you'll be able to fill to 100%.
Yes.
But where do you feel it's all going to go?
I think for us as a business personally, we are broadening our horizons. So in 2003, my grandfather opened Direct House, and that was our big first project into going...
That's at
exiting,
Mount Barker?
Yes, at Mount Barker. That was our first big leap out of the cinema industry, and that was his passion. And now my passion is interior design, and I'm...
Well, your mother's too, to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. So we're both very creative. So we are launching in April, so it'll be in the world by this time. Interiors by Harper. So that's my homewares business that I'm launching, and we are very philanthropy focused, as you know, and we're going to continue to support organisations close to our hearts for sure.
Fantastic. Well, I suppose the message to everybody is, you know, we've all grown up going to the movies.
Absolutely.
And it's a thing that we really don't want to lose out of our society.
No.
Great to watch things at home. It's great to have a TV set to watch at home. And it's great to have a great big screen if you've got a great big screen at home.
Yes.
But you can get a great bigger one
screen.
at the movies.
Exactly.
And it's that thing of going out, I guess, and just having a good time with friends.
Or family and your kids.
Exactly. Thanks. It's been lovely to actually meet you.
Likewise.
And to see the continuity, if you like, of a family business.
Thank you.
Thank you. So until next time on Our Time, thanks for being with us. Go see a movie and keep yourself nice till then. Bye.